Hello everyone, this is Panzer J coming to you from upstate New York. This is video 4 and will be the last video in this particular series covering historical board gaming's Global War 1939. These 4 series of videos were on the Axis powers, Germany, Japan, and Italy. And in these videos I just wanted to talk about the first turn for each country, some of the pre-turn thoughts, some of the goals and strategies for each of the 3 powers, Axis powers, and then get into a little bit of the actual turn 1, post-turn 1, the combat results and the movements and how things set up for each of those countries heading into turn 2. For Italy, it's a little bit different compared to the other 2 Axis powers. In the game, Germany goes first overall and Japan second, whereas Italy is actually the last country to go per turn. So Italy is much more in a reaction mode to what the Allies are doing, specifically the British, whereas with Germany and Japan, since they go first and second, they dictate the action, the pace of the game, in what direction they want to go, and the Allies have to react to them. So Italy is much more of a reaction, at least on turn 1. So before we get into Italy, then let's talk about what the British player did, and that'll go a little bit into explaining as Italy what I did. Britain went ahead and bought a minor industrial complex and put that down into Cairo. So now starting on turn 2, they were able to produce 3 units per turn in Cairo. Also, they had a large fleet in C-Zone 47, which they pulled back to C-Zone 65. And they did that because unlike in Axis and Allies Global 1940 game, Italy and Britain are not at war on Britain's first turn, so they were not able to attack any of the Italian fleets in the Med. So rather than sitting in C-Zone 47 with their fleet and being possibly attacked on Italy's first turn with, and Italy has quite a few more naval assets, they pulled back out of reach of the Italians to C-Zone 65. Also, they brought a couple of heavy bombers down from Britain into North Africa, and they are now on a territory that also contains 4 French Foreign Legion infantry units. So going by what the British player did, you can see that Britain is making a push in North Africa to build up offensive units to expel Italy from that continent. Also, by pulling their fleet out, that left just 4 Allied ships in the Mediterranean, a Yugoslavian destroyer, and then a couple of Greek destroyers and a Greek battleship was all that was remaining in the Med as far as Allied naval units go. So that was what the British player did on his first turn. So then as Italy, what did I want to counter that with, or what was I kind of thinking about? Well, Italy actually has a pretty decent economy in this game. Again, unlike Axis and Allies 1940, where they have a fairly low economy, Italy actually has a production of 26. Now on turn 1, they only have $15 to spend, but overall a production of 26, so a fairly decent economy. So with the $15 to spend, I went ahead and purchased a minor industrial complex, and that was $12, so that left $3 left over. And my thinking there was, I don't want to have to continue to ferry men and equipment over from Italy into North Africa. I want to have something in Africa itself so that I can just put units right on the ground right away, especially in response to the British minor industrial complex that was placed in Cairo. So that was 12 of the 15. And then with the remaining $3, I just went ahead and saved that for turn 2. So what, as the Italians, What kind of strategy do I want to pursue? Again, it's, like I said, more of a reactionary strategy. But one thing for sure is I want to clear the Med of all Allied ships. Italy actually gets, that is one of their bonuses, for a bonus of $5 per turn if the Mediterranean is completely clear of Allied ships. So on turn one, I want to get rid of the last of those Allied ships, which in this case there were 4 ships remaining. Another thing I want to do is the British actually get a sizable bonus by being in possession of all of their original territories on the European side of the map. Now they get $5 as Britain, and they also get $3 as Canada for that objective. And since Britain and Canada's economies are combined together in this game, that's $8 actually extra Britain's getting per turn. So that's a sizable bonus. So as Italy, I want to take away that bonus, and by doing that, I do that simply by occupying, at least, by occupying a British territory. So I want to do that. Also, at the end of Germany's first turn, Greece was still standing. That was the only Allied power left in Europe. So as the Italians, I want to take out Greece, and that would give me a couple extra dollars. Also, the Greek islands of Corinth and Crete are both unoccupied. So I'm thinking at some point I'm going to grab those two, and those are a couple dollars each. Because Italy really doesn't have a lot of opportunities. Even though their income is decent to start, they don't have a lot of opportunities to get any big money territories. Most of the territories in Africa are $1 each. Maybe Cairo's $2. Greece is a couple of dollars. So they need to grab all the territory they can, because there's not a lot out there for them. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about going into turn one. And let's see what we did to accomplish that. Well, first off, Lower Egypt down in North Africa was unoccupied, so moved an Italian infantry down in there, and that was worth $1, as well as now Britain is not able to claim that $8 bonus for having all their original territories. Also went into Alexandria, and in Alexandria, a couple of infantry came over from the Italian territories there, as well as a transport came over with a couple of infantry. So altogether, 4 infantry, a fighter, and a cruiser performed a shore bombardment in Alexandria. And for the cost of 2 infantry, Alexandria fell. And so not only was that worth $2 to Italy, but now Britain has 2 territories to reclaim on turn 2 if they want that $8 bonus. And then there were a couple of sea zone battles. In sea zone 40, the Italians brought over 2 destroyers and a sub, and that was taking on the lone Yugoslavian destroyer. And for the loss of a sub, the Italians were able to take out that destroyer. And then in Sea Zone 42, the Italians brought over a battleship, a cruiser, 3 destroyers, and 2 subs. And for the loss of just a single sub, they were able to take out those 3 Greek ships, a battleship and 2 destroyers. So now the Mediterranean is completely free of any Allied ships. So Italy would be getting that $5 bonus at the end of their turn. The only other combat was going into Greece, and that was an extremely costly battle for Italy. In Greece, they went in with a couple of infantry and armor, a fighter, and 2 tactical bombers, and a regular bomber. And they did take Greece, but they lost a lot of precious units. They lost both infantry, the fighter, and both tactical bombers. So they really took a serious pounding. They did take Greece and the $2 for Greece. But like I said, at the cost of most of their Air Force. Now, why did I choose to take the planes above the armor for casualties? Well, by the time we got to the last round of combat and Italy had to choose casualties, they were only going to have one unit left. So if I didn't save a ground unit, then they wouldn't have been able to take Greece and the $2. And you say, well, the armor costs less than, let's say, a tactical bomber by $4, 7 to 11. But you throw in the $2 for Greece, and that's up to $9. So it was only a difference of $2 by choosing the tactical bomber or one of the tactical bombers over the armor. And like I said, again, Italy really needs to get all the territories they can. There isn't much out there for them. So if I wouldn't have taken Greece on this turn, then, I mean, I suppose I could have taken Greece on the next turn, just moving an Italian unit in there, but I wanted to start getting that income right away on turn 1. So Greece did fall, but it took a lot out of Italy to do it. And that was it for combat. The bomber and one of the fighters flew down to Tobruk at the end of the combat movement. And that was really it. For unit placement, we just had the single minor industrial complex, and that was placed in Tobruk. So now, starting on turn 2, Italy can start putting units right in Tobruk. And that was it for Italy turn 1. They boosted their income from 26 to 31, so plus 5 in the way of production. Plus they had $3 left over, so that's 34. And they do get the $5 bonus for having no allied ships in the Mediterranean. So altogether, Italy's got a pretty decent amount of money to spend on turn 2, $39, which they're going to need to build back up an air force that was crippled on round 1, on turn 1. But as you can see, the Italians got a really nice fleet sitting outside Greece in Sea Zone 42, a battleship, a cruiser, 3 destroyers, and a sub. They also have a sub, a transport, and a cruiser down in 46, and then a couple of destroyers and a transport in 40. So they only lost one naval unit on round 1, a sub, and they've completely cleared the Med. And with that many naval units left, the British probably aren't even going to think about re-entering the Med for at least a few turns. The one British fleet they do have down in Sea Zone 65 would definitely be no match for what Italy has in the way of naval assets right now in the Mediterranean. So Italy accomplished the main goal of clearing the Med. They also took Greece at a high cost. And they took a couple of British territories in North Africa. And now the British got to worry about getting them back so that they can reclaim that $8 bonus per turn. So now altogether, not a bad first turn for Italy. And going into turn 2, they'll have the $39 to spend. Definitely start pumping some units into North Africa itself from that minor industrial complex. And that will wrap up not only this video, but this first series of videos. Hope you've enjoyed them. Again, I'm definitely open to suggestions and anything that you see I might have misstepped on or anything that I might have done incorrectly. One thing that I looked back at the rules after Germany's first turn, and I noticed that it said that Germany can activate 2 of the Axis minor powers per turn. Now I went ahead and activated all 4 of them on Germany's first turn. I'm not sure, and again, if anyone has any clarification on this, feel free to comment. I'm not sure if, because Germany has 2 impulses on turn 1, they can activate 2 of them on the first impulse and 2 on the second impulse, which is what I did. But if that is not allowed, then definitely I would correct my mistake there. Other than that, through turn 1, as to be expected, the Axis are sitting in very strong position, as most of the time they are, since they start out with such a military advantage. And we'll see what happens from here. Maybe I'll come back with a final video when we finish playing this game and just kind of go over the results of the entire game itself. Again, thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I'll be back with some more videos down the road. Take care.